Okay, holding a Siman Shin Ches, the last seif Nun Beis. Says in Mechaba Muktzah Ashirim, if something is muktzah for an Ashir, have a muktzah bafulu aniyim emetalton. So we're talking about a case, Mechaber is talking about a case where an Ashir has something, and for him, it's not a davar chashuv. A small piece of beged, that for the Ashir, it's not a davar chashuv. So for him, it's muktzah. He has no use for it. So since he's the owner of it, even if an ani would have this piece of beged, he would use it. Still, it's muktzah even for the aniyim. Afil aniyim ein metalton. This Mechaber is telling us
makes it into a muktzah.
Yeah. The thing of the Mechaber is telling us that anything that's yours is totally in the Bailam. So for the Bailam it's muktzah. Here the Bailam is the Ashir. So for the Bailam it's muktzah. So therefore, even though for an ani, this same exact thing, if he would own it, he would use it. Still, it's muktzah even for aniyim, because muktzah goes after the owner, after the Bailam.
And if it's opposite, if it's
okay, it's going to be the opposite. If an ani has something, and for him it's not muktzah, the Ashir should also be able to use it. We'll see in a second if that's true in all cases. So let's see the Magen Avram over here. Says the Magen Avram, Sivkot 9 Tes, Ein Metaltalin, Shekvar Huktzah Midaita Shel Balabayis Ashir. It's very huktzah from the Balabayis, the owner is Das. We don't need that to be muktzah for everybody. All we need is that the owner is Maktzah Midaita. V'chen Aminon, B'fnei She'asra, Hakikar Al-Atma, Beneder Nasa Muktzah. Ran. So the Ran says the same thing would be if someone has a kikar, a bread, and he asks it on himself with a neder, so he cannot use it, he's the owner. The same thing would apply, since it's muktzah for the owner, it would be muktzah for everybody else. That's the Ran. Now on that, says the Shulta Gebayrim, Kosav HaShulta Gebayrim, Alzeh, V'zel Shoynoi, V'ataysis Daf Mem Vav, so this is the way Shulta Gebayrim learns Taisvis, the Dafka L'Isha Asura, that he argues in the Ran. And he says that if someone asks a kikar on himself, it's muktzah for him, he cannot use it on Shabbos, it's only muktzah for him. For dafka l'isha asura v'lacherim mutter. For other people, this kikar is mutter. V'chein nearly, says the Shulta Gebayrim, the Bekama Mekayim is ashkam refine, muktzah l'ish echad, ein muktzah l'koil. Muktzah for one person is not muktzah for everybody. So Shulta Gebayrim is basically arguing, and he says that, no, if it's muktzah for the owner, it doesn't mean it's muktzah for everybody. And he says, the B'taisus, Perek Mefanet, Av Kuf Chom Zayin Kasvu, Te'echish ha'davar ru'uya l'kul yama, if this thing is roy for everybody else, el the isser hu, the revi'alei, it's an isser that's lying on it, revi'alei means it's kneeling on it, there's an isser on it, regarding Truma b'yad Yisrael, then still, mutter l'kol v'taltaloi, everyone's allowed to be metaltaloi. But something that's muktzah because of its greyusa, meaning it's not worth something, not because it has an isser. Greyusa means because of its unimportantness. It's not so important to him. The so the Shulta Gebayrim is learning in Taisvis, not like our Mechaber, that if you have muktzah la'ashirim, even though they're the owners, still it's mutter for everybody else to use it. That's the way Shulta Gebayrim learns Taisvis. Says the Magen Avram, they come argue on the way Shulta Gebayrim learns Pshat and Taisvis.
So just in terms of the lashon, Abel Dover Shehu, it sounds like he's going to make it a chiluk between that, but he comes out it's the same.
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
The lashon Abel, it should be, yeah, the lashon is a little wrong.
Right?
Yeah, I should check the Shulta Gebayrim itself, see if it says that lashon.
That Abel shouldn't be.
Yeah, Abel is mashma, he's changing, but
Abel,
it's not.
Abel's mashma like the way the Magen Avram comes out at the end.
Right, he doesn't say right.
In the seif that in the Eintet that you read in the beginning, you said Asura Laisha. Is it that the wife's woman? Is it talking about the wife's woman or
the wife?
Because we're talking about the kikar?
Right.
Hakikar asura leisha.
Right.
It means if the husband says.
No. She says it. She said the neder.
She says the neder and she.
Yeah, that's it to her. So says the Magen Avraham, the Tzarchiyim, the Kavanah Chatoitzes Gamkein is also Imbu Shel Oshir Afanim and Metalton Leisam, which is Al Mechaber. So the Magen Avraham argues on the Shulta Geborim Haroldam Pshat and Taisvis, and he says Kivin Shu Mukta the Machmas Koryusa the Hakol Hoylech Achar Daita Shel Balabayas. Everything goes after the Das of the Balabayas. Rak Bezeh Pligi. This is what the Shulta Geborim argues a Harag. There's only one machlokes between the Shulta Geborim and the Ran, which is the Mukta Machmas Isser, the Reviya Lei, Mutter Lakoil. If it's only Mukta because of the Isser that's on top of it, then Mutter Lakoil. The Gamet Dachmem Vav Kosva Toisvis, the Hechet the Nodra and Nom Mekikar, Afilah Hi Atzma Shari Lataltala, Toisvis holds even she herself giving Taltalit, Kivin the Chazul Acherim, since other people could use it. Elim Kain Asaratem Al Kal Oilam, unless it's Asar the whole world. So now no one's allowed to use it, so it becomes Muksa B'Chem Ashman L'Kamon, Siman Shel Chavhei, the Divrei Shulta Geborim Tzarchim. So we have over here is the Magen Avraham brings down the Ran. The Ran says, not like the Mechaber, the Ran holds Mukta La'ashirim is not Mukta La'anim. We don't go after the Das Balabayas, even though it's Mukta for the Balabayas for himself, but for other people who would use it, it's not Mukta. That's the Ran. The Shulta Geborim says, argues in the Ran, and he says, the Ran's the opposite. The Ran says, the Ran says everything, any time that it's a muktzah for one person, it's a muktzah for everybody else also, even a kikar, even a case where someone makes a neder and asks the neder and asks the kikar on themselves, even though it's only also because of a neder, it's also for everybody. So the Ran holds also for the Balabayas, no matter what the reason is, also for everybody. The Shulta Geborim goes the opposite. He says in Taisvis, there's no such thing. If it's muktzah for one person, it doesn't mean it's muktzah for anybody else. Every person, it's not totally in the Das Balabayas. The Magen Avraham makes a split. And he says that it depends. If it's muktzah machmas greyusa, if it's muktzah because it's not worth much to the owner, then he makes a muktzah. It's his chayfetz, it's his article, and therefore it's muktzah for everybody. But kikar, something that you assume because of a neder, is only an isser on it. Not just is it not muktzah for everybody else, it's not even muktzah for the owner. Why is it a muktzah for the owner? Because since other people could use it, he could give it to the other people, and therefore it's not muktzah.
So what does his neder do?
Right. Not eating it.
You don't eat it.
But it doesn't make it muktzah.
Doesn't make it muktzah.
Doesn't even make it muktzah.
Right. The neder makes it that he's not allowed to eat it. But it's not muktzah for him because other people could eat it.
So the neder is the gavra.
Yeah, and that's on the gavra. The person is also to eat it. Everybody else is allowed to eat it. Therefore it's not even muktzah for him because he could give it to other people to eat if he wants.
Yeah.
And the Mishnah Berurah passes like the Magen Avraham. If you look at the Mishnah Berurah Sif Kan Nun Kuf Ayin, look at Kuf Ayin. Ein metaltels shekahuktzah midayta shebalabay to Oshir. Ve'ein chiluk ben anim shebeisa be'anim shechutz lebeisai. Doesn't make a difference. Lazlina and basa mishu ba'Allah. We go after the owner. V'ad Yisrael the Sifil Gimel the Yesh Behem Gimel at Spoit the Gimel at Spoit Mutul Taltala. It's not muktzah even though it's very small. Hainu dafik shem shaloni. Only if it belongs to a poor person.
It says choshev.
Him it's choshev. V'ad mutul gama Oshel Taltal Oisan. Now it brings out a chiddush from the Taz. V'ayim b'Taz. Shemasik, the dafka kisher Oshir dor bebeis ha'ani. Taz says the difference between the Oshir, who for him, it's muktzah, so it's muktzah for everybody, for all aniyim, but an Ani, who has a beged that's very small, and an Oshir has no use for it, so it's the Ani says it's not muktzah, because he uses it, so now it shouldn't be muktzah for anybody else. Says the Taz, no. Only if the Oshir is living in the Ani's house. So Oshir nigrar acharov, aval Oshir the alma osir latalto. An Oshir doesn't live in his house, can't be metalpel. Kivin shkamakoim, any royal life or pockets or gimel tvachim. Chiddush of the Taz. And then it brings down the next chiluk of the Magen Avraham that an isser is not a problem. An isser, if someone asks something on themselves, it's not muktzah for the whole world. Why? Because everybody else can eat it. It's not even muktzah for the owner of the chayfetz.
Did you learn that the Mechaber also would agree to this? In other words,
Maybe.
you could learn that the Mechaber was just talking about a case of Griyusa.
Right. Mechaber can agree to it. Mechaber doesn't say anything about Isser.
Right. In other words, by the case of Isser, he would agree.
Yeah,
that
see more. The Magen Avraham brings rayas to it from Shin Chav Hei. Chem Hashmal, the Kaman of Shin Chav Hei, where it says there, if something's brought mechutz tchum for one person, let's say something's brought mechutz tchum for Ruvain.
Right.
So it's also for Ruvain to use it. But it's not muktzah for Ruvain because Shimon could use it. So even though it's also for Ruvain, it doesn't mean it's also like Chayil.
Unless you had
So
said,
it means the right
unless you had said that it's asur lekulam, then it's asur.
Yeah, it's also Kulam, but there's not also Kulam, it's only also for Ruvain. It may be a little different over there because there, who said Ruvain is the Bailam? It's brought mechutz tchum for Ruvain. Someone, a guy brought a matana for Ruvain. It only became his on Shabbos. Could be it's different, but the Magen Avraham is derived from there. So he's basically saying the Mechaber is masking to his chilik that at any time it is machmas iser. It's also for me to use it, but it's not also for you to use it. That it's not muktzah for anybody because I can give it to you and you can use it. Okay, that's Siman Shin Ches. Let's go on to Siman Shin Tes. Shin Tes is a Siman basically about bosses, and we'll go into all the pratim about it soon as we go through it. Okay, says the Mechaber. Noitel Adam es benoi, a person is allowed to carry his son, child, wherever it be yodai, and the kid has a stone in his hand. Now the stone is muktzah, so the kid is holding muktzah. So the question is, if the father is picking up the child, maybe it's called the father is moving the muktzah. So noitel Adam es benoi wherever it be yodai, but the choshev metaltal le'evan, it's not considered that he's being metaltal le'evan. Now, what the Mechaber means over here, it's not considered as being metaltal le'evan. It doesn't mean that it's always mutter. He says, "Hu sheyesh lo gaguim, pirish ben sheyesh lo itzvah she'enai imaviv." The kid has a yearning for his father, and the father's not going to pick him up. He's gonna cry. So it's not a heter. That's what this is. The Mechaber says, "Like chashem metaltal le'evan." It's not considered that he's moving the evan. Doesn't mean it's mutter in all cases. It is considered he's moving the evan. And therefore it's also in a case where the kid doesn't have gaguim. So why is it mutter over here? Here on Mekel in the case of a kid. Why? Because if you're not going to pick up the child, he'll get sick. And therefore it is a heter to be over an isser over here of tiltal, even though, why? Because we're scared the kid may get sick.
So, but the tiltul is not a tiltul.
Yeah, so we'll get to that in a second, yeah.
How far you take, because later on we'll see there's a difference between the child is throwing a temper tantrum versus getting sick. Is a Mechaber...
There's a chiluk?
We'll see that...
Gagu means he's going to throw a tantrum.
It's called seif.
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking. So that's
throwing a tantrum. If you can avoid a kid from throwing a tantrum, you should avoid it. Why? Because you see, even Issa D'Rabbanan on Shabbos, were Mekalon, because Shema Yichla.
So Eben B'Yada is only a halacha that's totally in a heter that you have because of either Gagui.
Right, we'll see why. There's an Issa. Look at the Mishbur over here.
But we said Tiltul and Tzad, if you pick
so
up
that's the question. Why is this case of picking up the child with the Evan in his hand? Why is that called being metaltal the Evan? You're not doing anything. It's Tiltum and Atzad.
Yeah.
Tiltum and Atzad.
Tiltum and Atzad, if you want to pick up your hammer from something that on something that's mutter, that's Tiltum and Atzad also, right?
Pick up.
You have a hammer outside; it's going to get through. It's going to get wet.
No, that's
you're picking it up. I got a book. It's sitting on top of a book.
Oh.
Right?
So there it depends.
So you bring the book in.
If you bring the book in, so there's a heter, we'll see that if you tilt them at tzad, the tzarech davar mutter is mutter.
Right.
If you're doing it for the hammer, it's also. If you tilt them at tzad, the tzarech the hammer will be also. Here it's tilt them at tzad. The question is, it's not that you don't need the even.
Let's say, for example, even if you have you have a nutcracker, but now you're going to use the hammer as your nutcracker.
Something else, because it's tzarech kufa mekaymoy.
Right.
That's tzarech kufa mekaymoy. You're allowed to move the hammer to tzarech kufa mekaymoy. But if the hammer is outside, you don't need to crack any nuts. And it's lying on top of the book.
It's not going to be the seif.
That's what you want to take it because it's raining. That's called mechamal etzel.
Right.
So there's no heter to move a hammer mechamal etzel.
Right.
So if the hammer is on the book, if you have to move the book inside,
or if
so
you have a dray heter to say that you're going to use it to crack a nut.
Something else. So they can take the hammer directly. Yeah, they can move the hammer directly. If you use it for the nut, you can take the hammer directly inside.
You don't even need the book, right?
You don't even need the book.
Right.
But the question is, you don't need the hammer, but you want to save it from rain. So there, it's tiltum min atzad. If you're doing it for the hammer, it's tiltum min atzad.
Then you need the book.
But the question of the book helps. Because if you're doing a tiltum min atzad, the tzarech the hammer, it's also.
Unless you need the book.
Unless you need the
So
book.
are you treating here where the kid is holding onto the stone, are you treating it as tiltum min atzad?
So that's the question.
Or maybe treat the kid as a bus.
So that's the question over here. That's the question of what's wrong with being a taltal, the tinnik, with the evan in his hand. It's tiltum min atzad. You don't need the evan. It's tiltum min atzad, the tzarech the tinnik. You want to carry the tinnik. Not the stone, not the evan.
Yeah, the evan.
So why is it also?
He doesn't use it.
Why is it also?
No intentions.
Yeah, no intentions for the stone. So look at the Mishnah over here. It says, Ve'evan b'yada, the first Mishnah Berurah, V'mayishu b'chatzer, we're talking about is that a chatzer, the aim by elam mishum issa tiltel, is only a power of muktzah, l'chein le'asur ba mishum tzayir de tinnik. Because tzayir de tinnik we didn't asur it. Kid l'kamon, al b'shus rabim, v'adai asur, mishum issa lo'itza. Why is it asur b'shus rabim? The chshanoises at tinnik, when you're carrying the child, havak ilu noises evan b'yadoi. It's as if you're carrying the stone in your hand. So usually when you pick up one chayfetz and there's another chayfetz on top of it, we say it's called tiltum min atzad.
Yeah, but here
a lot of Charim Medayik, I think Shem Zamat Medayik this is that when you're picking up the child, it's not called tiltum min atzad. The child that's holding the stones is if you're picking up the stone directly. It's not tiltum min atzad. It's tiltul directly, and therefore it would be also if not because of tzara the tinnik.
Because maybe also because there's a high
noisiv, yeah, and therefore the stone is if you're carrying the stone, as if you're carrying the stone directly. Because the child you're not carrying, because chayim noisiv atzmoi.
But it's hold on, the chayim noisiv is not, but it's usher.
It's usher, right? But it helps you enough to say that you're carrying the stone.
If he unless he's there's a reason to pick him up. Right. In other words, would Gaguin help for Chai Noisei Tzatzma and Rosh Hashanah?
No.
Forget about a stone.
Gaguin makes it worse. Gaguin, he wants you to pick him up. So only when he's fighting, they shouldn't pick him up. Then we say maybe it's not. Don't have to Chai Noisei Tzatzma.
But there has to be a reason. You can't just pick up, right? Chai Noisei Tzatzma, a child.
No, it's also just we're not being after Rosh Hashanah.
And I'm talking about outside of books. Just Chai Noisei Tzatzma.
Yeah, don't have to.
No,
you won't have to set it. You won't have to set to pick up the child because of Gaguim in Rosh Hashanah. We're not matter Nisa Deraisa. If it's in Rosh Hashanah you're carrying.
Right.
Chai Noisei Tzatzma says.
It's also because it's a drug. It's
also the Rabbanon. Chai Noisei Tzatzma. We're not going to matter carrying in Rosh Hashanah. We're not going to be matter. Even though it's only carrying with the Rabbanon because it's kind of that's but we're not going to matter. Right, so to have the Evan, says the Mishnah Berurah, says if you're carrying the Evan directly. So here they'll take care of the problem of tiltul also. Because if you're carrying, it's not called tiltul min atzad. That's what some Achronim want to say. That's why you have to come onto the heter of Gaguim, of Tzara Dinuka, because it's as if you're carrying the Evan directly. But they say from the Chazon Ish says that here, let's say it's not a tiltum min atzad. The heter of tiltum min atzad is only the tzarech davar ha heter, not the tzarech davar ha muktzah. Here you need the stone, because the child wants to carry the stone. So it's tiltum min atzad, the tzarech davar ha muktzah. you're picking up the child who's holding the stone, and you want him to hold the stone. Because if not, let him throw it down. Right? The Magen Avraham says, why do you have to carry? So let the kid throw down the stone. So he says, because the kid wants the stone. If not, he's going to throw a tantrum. So it's called tiltul min hatzad v'tzorich davar hamuktzah. It's as if you need the stone, and therefore it would be aser if not for the fact that it's tzara dinuka. So we look in the
So that's why why this is not altogether tiltum min hatzad.
right. That's what the Chazon says. That's why it's not tiltum min hatzad, because even though it's tiltum min hatzad, the Chazon tells it is called tiltum min hatzad, but it's called tzarech davar ha'aser.
Aser, that's okay.
Right. That's why it's aser.
Davar aser, and therefore tiltum min hatzad.
Davar aser is aser.
Aser.
So then we have to come into the head of tzara dinuka. If you look at the Magen Avraham, Sif Katan Aleph, the aser tiltul shelo b'yadayim v'makom sakana schaylim. He didn't aser a tiltul shelo b'yadayim. Also, the Lashon Magen Avraham is mashma. It's not called tiltul min hatzad. It's a regular tiltul, but it's not mamish a tiltul b'yadayim. V'im toimar yashlecha even b'yadai. Let the kid throw the stone down. Where it's Chassav Sif Gimel. You can see later on, if you have an eight to throw away the stone, you should throw it away. He's going to scream and cry, and that itself will be a chashash chayli. So that's the heter over here, to pick up a child with even biyada, even though there's a problem of tilt. Now, the Pri Megadim already over here has an ha'ara, because we see in Siman Shin Chav Ches that tzarchei tinnik, anything a child needs is mutter. The Shin Chav Ches, seif Yud Zayin, the Magen Avraham, the Ramah says, at the end of seif Yud Zayin, says Agah, mutter loim la'akum, you're allowed to tell a guy, lasa is tafshil l'katin, she'ein le'ma lechal. The kid doesn't have what to eat, you're allowed to tell a guy to make it for him. The stam tzarchei katen kechayla she'ein bois hakana dami. Tzarchei katen are like a chayla she'ein bois hakana. The needs of a child is like the needs of a chayla she'ein bois hakana. Halacha by chayla she'ein bois hakana is you're allowed to do an issa d'rabbanan. So if you look in the Magen Avraham Sif Katan Tezvav, last is tafshil, v'muter l'hachiloi muktzeh b'yadayim im iyafshe b'inyan acher. You're allowed to feed a kid muktzah, a yisrael is allowed to take muktzah and feed the kid muktzah b'yadayim if you have no other way of doing it. Why? Because tzarchei tinnik are kechayli she'en boi sakana. So for the Pri Megadim, if there's a heter of tzarchei tinnik, so why over here they have to come on that the kid has gaguim and shema yichla, he'll become sick, even without that. All tzarchei tinnik are mutter.
Yeah. So what's he come?
So why here we have to come on to a heter of shema yichla. So people go to use the teretz. They maybe here we're more machmir for certain reasons. The Tilul David, this would be more negeya Shin Chav Ches when we get to it. But the Tilul David brings the raya from here that it says that Shin Chav Ches that tzarchei tinai are kechayla she'en boi sakana is not all tzarchei tinai. It's only tzarchei tinai of achila, of eating. Only if you need something to eat. But any other tzarchei tinai are not called chayla she'en boi sakana. We'll see when we get to Shin Chav Ches, there's a machlokes about it. But this is one of the Tilul David's rayas that tzarchei tinai, that's mutter, at chayla she'en boi sakana is only
by
eating. Food that the kid needs. I'm not talking about the kid has a fever or something, that's something else.
Oh yeah,
We're talking about stam tinnik, a healthy child. Everything that's called chayla she'en boi sakana, that's only talking about food. But other inyanim, other tzrachim for the tinnik, says the Tilul David, is not called tzarchei tinnik she'en boi sakana, and therefore we also to be over in issa d'rabbanan. So then it'll be very good. Why over here we have to come on to the heter of shema yachla? Maybe we get sick. Okay.
Where was it in Shin Chav Ches?
Seif Yud Zayin, the Ramon Seif Yud Zayin.
The Ramon Seif Yud Zayin.
Okay, it says the Mechaber Baita. His old Tinnik has gaguim, aber ein le gaguim. Kid doesn't have any yearnings of loy. Because there is no chash of chayli. Now says the Mechaber Felix sheyesh le gaguim olav. Even if the kid has yearnings for his father, le'yitiru ella be'evan. But only maturate by a stone. If the kid is holding a stone, you'll have to pick him up. Aber dinner biyadai. But if he has money in his hand, even if the kid is walking and he is holding his hand, it's also the chashinan dilma nafel. We're scared the dinner, the money may fall. But asi avua la'asuye, and the father will end up picking it up because it has value to it. If the kid's holding a stone, then only if you pick him up it's a problem because it's called being matal to the stone. But if the kid is holding money in his hand, which has value to the parent, so then if the parent is walking and even holding the child's hand, he's not lifting up the child, it's also because we're scared the kid's going to drop it, and the parent will come and pick it up. That shouldn't go to waste, the money. We didn't make a gzeira so far that even if you're holding his hands, only if you pick up the tinnik im dinner b'yadai. But to hold the child in your hand, there's no isser. So the machlokes over here, if the kid's holding a dinner in his hand, holding money in his hand, if you're allowed to even just walk holding the child's hand, because if scared you may pick up after he drops the dinner, you may end up picking it up. If you look in Rishbur Sifkan Gimel, here it says in Mefurish, what's the isser of picking up a child with an evan in his hand? It says the Mishnah Berurah here, Rishbur Sifkan Gimel, the ma shemetaltol ha'atinoi ma'muktzah, the fact that he's being metaltol the tinoi with the muktzah in the kid's hand, hava ki'ilu hu atzmoi metaltol ha'muktzah v'aser. It's as if he himself, the parent, is being metaltol the muktzah. Not tilted min outside. The Mishnah Berurah is mashma over here that by carrying the child, it's as if you yourself are carrying the evan. Chazon Ish learns that it's tilted min outside the tzarech davar ha'aser. Mishnah Berurah here is mashma. It's a problem of tiltul mamish the muktzah. Picking up the child, it's as if you picked up the evan itself. Now, if you look in the next one. Sifka and Dalid, v'asal asuyei, v'asal bul asuyei, v'tzleima v'nimtza m'taltal ha'muktzah b'yidayim, v'zeh lo hitiroi, afilu b'mokum sheneger l'chash chayli, haben, kimin le'hamachshash l'koros nefashos. If we m'taltal the muktzah b'yidayim, that we were not matter. Therefore, it was a chash, you're going to pick up the muktzah, it's awesome. So here, the machlokes is how far the chash goes. Does the chash go when you're holding his hand, or only when you pick up the child? So why should there be an asr? Why should there be an isser? What should be the difference? If you hold the chash is that when the kid throws out the dinner, you may pick it up. So what's the difference if you're carrying him or if you're holding his hand? Both times when it throws out the dinner, you're going to go pick it up. So says the Magen Avram Sifkat and Beis, Kishu Noisei, the Yomi is going to say, someone's going to say, the Cheshem, Shemuter Lisa HaTinok Im HaDinner, Kach Muter Lisa HaDinner B'Lechudei. So that's the difference between carrying the child holding the dinner or holding his hand. The one that holding his hand is an issue, so then the reason must be because you're scared he's going to throw it down and you may end up picking it up. The ones that hold that the issue is only when you're carrying him, because we're not choishish that the kid's going to throw it down and you're going to pick it up. It's a different chash. The chash is that if you're allowed to carry the child with the money in his hand, people may say, you're allowed to carry the money directly. That's the issa. So here, the practical nafkamina would be picking up a child, or the person would say, even pushing a baby carriage. Pushing a baby carriage, you're moving the child. Even if you're not picking him up, you're moving the child, and there's muktzah in his hand. So it could be tzasa. If the kid doesn't have a gagum, it could be tzasa. Not just when you're holding the child,
Yeah.
when you're pushing him.
It's really indirect.
If the muktzah is in the carriage, or
it's
only
it's
holding
not even till
That's a good question, right?
It's not even till outside, is it?
Pushing him, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if the muktzah is in the carriage, it could be more of a heter, especially like the Mishnah Berurah here. Mishnah Berurah says the reason why there's a problem here is because when you're picking up the child, it's as if you're picking up the muktzah directly. That's only by a child. You can't say that when the muktzah is in the carriage. The muktzah is in the carriage, you don't have this issur.
It's not a basis. It's a basis for the
No, the carriage won't become a basis to the muktzah because the child's in the carriage also. It's the heter with the issur, and you're moving the carriage because of the child, not because of the muktzah.
So what comes out? If let's say he's holding the cell phone from yesterday.
Yeah, if the kid's holding a double muktzah in the carriage, you should try to get it out of his hand. Try to get the kid to drop it, then push the carriage.
Or
So-
to drop it in the carriage or whatever.
Or drop it in the carriage. Drops in the carriage and it's okay.
Yeah, like I mean, picks up keys or things that were left in the.
Yeah, any muktzah object. If the kid's holding a muktzah object, you should try to get the kid to drop it. The kid's going to have gagum, he doesn't want to drop it, then it's mutter. But if you get the kid to drop it, the kid should drop it.
All he has good going.
Now, the Levush over here, the Levush says that that is a chash by a dinner, that the kid's going to throw it down, the father's going to pick it up. There's also a chashash, not just a tiltal muktzah that's a chashash, it's also a chashash of carrying a Rishus Rabbim. So if you're walking with a kid in a Rishus Rabbim, even if he's not holding something that's muktzah, he's holding something that's not muktzah,
Yeah.
and he's scared he's going to throw it down. So according to the first shita, the Mechaber, says the Levush, it'll be also to hold the kid's hand while he's carrying something, anything, in a Rishus Rabbim. Because there's always a chashash to throw the chayfetz down, whatever it is, and you may end up picking it up. So if it's holding a rock or something that has no value, then it's not a problem. Because we're not choshesh, you're going to pick it up. But if he's carrying his baby bottle, where there's a chashash, he'll pick it up, even though it's not muktzah, but there's a chashash, maybe he'll carry it in the Rishus Rabbim, says the Levush, it's also to hold the kid's hands according to this according to the first sheet in the Mechaber. Why? According to the second shita, the whole problem is the choshesh, only when he's carrying the child, the choshesh. So in the Rishus Rabbim, he's not carrying the child. But according to the first shita, where there's a chashash, he may throw it down and he'll pick it up, something that has value. So in a chatzir, it's only something that's muktzah. In the Rishus Rabbim, it could be something even that's not muktzah. Why? Because the choshesh, he may throw it down and he'll pick it up. So therefore, if you're holding a kid's hand, the kid's carrying a baby bottle, it may be also to carry the kid's hand according to the Levush.
But even if it's not going to throw it down, the mere fact that the father holds on to the hand, he's already.
No, he's not carrying the bottle.
Pardon?
He's not carrying the bottle. The kid's carrying the bottle.
Not the, but I know, but the father gives the hand to the child.
Right.
So indirectly, he is the one who guides.
Who's carrying?
Not carrying, but
He's not carrying it. Yeah, the kid's carrying it. It's not a problem. The kid's carrying it. Even though the father is guiding the child, but the father is not carrying it, the kid is carrying the bottle. So that would be a chumrah of the Levush.
It's a big chiddush. It means you wouldn't be able to walk across
Right.
across the street on a.
According to this, you can't walk a kid across the street. There's no eruv when the kid's carrying anything in his hands. If you're holding the kid's hand, that's what will come out according to Levush. So the question is, you have to be choshesh for the chumrah of the Levush. Most places don't bring it down, but there's also a heter because this is only according to the first sheet in the Mechaber. It's only according to the first sheet in the Mechaber.
Which we should be choshesh for. Stam b'yesh.
Yeah, but the question is, do we pass at the first sheet of the Mechaber or not? If you've been making with the first sheet. If you look in the Bi'alach over here, Yes, Omer Shaloi Asu. Says the Biur Halacha, the Bach Kosav, the Naktina Lechumra, the Svara HaRishayna. We go Lechumra like the first Svara, which is that even just holding the kid's hand is also. Al Ba'el Rabba Kosav, the Yesh Lismoich Al Dei Zu, which is the second Shita, the Shum Sakona is Chayli. The Gam, the Ramban, Basrahu, Baran, Hevin. So the Biur Halacha says that the Eli Rabbah is soymich on the second shita. He says we soymich on the second shita because we go to Ramban Shu Basroi. Now, so let's think about it a second. What comes out is, according to the second shita, when the kid has gaguim, you're allowed to hold the kid's hand when he's holding a davar muktzah. According to the first shita, if the kid is holding something they may pick up, even though he has gaguim, you're not allowed to hold the kid's hand. So the whole heta of the second shita is only if the kid has gaguim. If the kid doesn't have any yearning for his father, everyone agrees you're not allowed to hold the kid's hand, because he may throw it down. The question is, by gaguim, or matir or not. So the whole heta of holding the kid's hand, the heta of a muktzah in it, is only in the case of gaguim. The first shita holds, even in the case of gaguim, we're not going to be matir it. But in the case where there's no gaguim, there's no heta, according to anybody.
It's only the case of the dinner, not the case of the stone.
Only the case of the dinner, right.
Dinner. Yeah.
Not the case of the stone. So it will come out that even if you want to be makel, like the Biur Halacha, like it brings down from the Bach, from the Eli Rabbah, they give makel, this is only in the case of gaguim. So if you're walking with a child and he's carrying something that muktzah in his hand that you can pick up, he throws it down, there's no gaguim, it can't be makel to hold the kid's hand even. The same thing would be to cross the street, in Rosh Hashanah, there's no gaguim, maybe you should be machmir, that the kid should not be holding something in his hand that's has any value that you may pick up if the kid throws it down. Like gaguim, you could be makel, the kid needs it, it's his baby bottle, he needs it, then maybe you could be makel.
You said the poskim don't rule like the levush.
The levush, they don't bring the levush down.
But if we look, according to what you said now, that it only applies if there's no gaguim. If there are gaguim,
right?
But if there's no gaguim, everybody would agree.
So
would come out.
Would agree to the case of muktzah. For the case of Rosh Hashanah, it could be we never made the gzera to begin with.
So there's nothing to do with the gaguim
right.
there. So the gaguim only is talking about.
Right. It could be we never started that gzera to begin with, but the levush has a good svara. You're machmir on Issa Tiltel, for sure you should be machmir on a Tzar Midaraisa. The same chashash, I'll throw it down, but pick it up. So a chayish will pick it up by muktzah. You're not chayish to pick it up in Rosh Hashanah. So the svara to say not is because people know you don't carry Rosh Hashanah. Muktzah, people forget sometimes. And it's a deraisa, people won't get carried away with it.
It reminds you of it.
Yeah. So that's the question. That's the machlokes if you go to the levush or not. The case where there's no gaguim, maybe it's kedai, you're machmir with the levush. Okay, that's Sif Aleph. Sif Beis. Kalkola, shahayis nekuva. A kalkola, a basket that has a hole in it. The sasma be'even, and you stuffed it up with a stone. Mutal l'taltala, you're allowed to be metaltal the kalkola now. Now there's a stone in the kalkola, so the problem would be that a stone in a basket, the basket becomes a basis. It's holding up the stone. It's a basis of davar aser. Davar aser. Evidence of davar aser. So we aser to carry the basket. So here it's mutter. Why is it mutter? Because the stone becomes part of the basket, and now the stone becomes a davar heter. The kol tries in the kuv v'sasma be'even mutter l'taltala sheinasa kedoifna. Now becomes like the wool of the basket. Therefore, it's mutter. Why? Because the stone itself is not muktzah anymore.
Yeah.
The stone becomes
part of the basket.
Not muktzah anymore. It's part of the basket. You have a pumpkin, whatever it was. They used to empty it and use it to draw water from the well. So they wanted it to go down, otherwise it would float. So they put a stone on top of it to have weight, and this fool pulls it down. to make it heavy, to fill up with the water. So it depends. If it's tied tight to the last, it won't fall off mutter, because then it becomes part of the glass. Mutter l'malisba shu kemoyad las atmo shu bottle agava but v'mlab aser. But if it's not tied tight, so it doesn't become part of the glass, and then it becomes aser. If you look in the Magen Avraham Sifkan Gimel Nasa Kedoifna Kivin Tahatka, since you tied it strong, Shavya Doifim, it has a din like the wall of the glass. Mashma the loy hatka loy. If it didn't do it tight, it's awesome. Why? Because then it doesn't become like part of the glass, and it's also to move it, and it's called a basis of David Asa. So if you look over here in the Mishnah Berurah,
that's a good dive now.
Nafsa Gedaif, the Ma'asha Hatka Yavel Galkala, you tied it strong to the Galkala, or you stuck it in tight, or you tied it. Abalavi Hachi, the Nafsa Gedaif. Okay. The Chain the last, Hain of the last Sebesha, the Chalula, empty water, Malam Bamayim, Vlak Profession, Kala, the Tzafa, Pemayim, turn by Evan. Today, Lachbida. He put an Evan onto it to make it heavy in order for it to pull it down. So ve'ilav aser, if you didn't tie it heavy, tied strong onto it, it's aser. Why? Shad las atzma muktzah, shenasis basis l'davar aser. Now that the last becomes a basis l'davar aser, because the stone is hanging from it. If you look in the Sharet Tzion, Sifkat Yud Aleph, important Sharet Tzion. The next Shav Evan is going on before that you put the Evan, the stone, into the glass, and you don't put it in strong, then it becomes a basis. The glass becomes a basis to the stone. So he says it like this: the next Shav Evan idea hiduk k'may doifin hadlas. Lefizeh hayimashma says the Sharet Tzion. Hayimashma l'chayre dafik she'evan nasa v'teich hadlas. V'chalash the Mishnah ha'evan shebichirua stone that's inside. But not when it's hanging outside the glass.
It has to be the one complete.
Inside. It has to be inside the glass.
Yeah.
In every case, it's bottle, even though it's hanging outside. Here's a shadow in the poskim. If you have something hanging outside the glass, not inside the glass. If you have an Evan inside the glass, we say the glass becomes a basis of Davar Aser. How about if it's not inside? It's hanging outside the glass. For example, the case of if you use a lemalizva. So there, it's hanging outside the glass. Does the glass become a basis of Davar Aser?
It's still attached to it.
It's attached to it, but it's not inside. So you need a basis of Davar also to be something that's holding it up. It's in it, but even hanging on the outside of it, as long as it's holding it up, it still could become a basis of Davar also. And it being a raya from here, that even though it's hanging on the outside, it could still be considered a basis of Davar also. And we'll see later on, there's nafkaminis. A lot of times you have cases where something is not inside the chayfetz. The chayfetz is not inside something, it's hanging outside. It could still be called a basis l'davar aser, and it's also a taltaloi unless it's kosher, it's tied tight.
It's hodek type. It's well
right.
attached.
If it's attached, then it becomes part of the kalkala. But otherwise, it's also. A sif gimel. Kalkala malaya peiris. You have a basket full of peiris. a fruit, the Evan B'Seicha, and you have a stone inside of it, Himheim Peris Utuvim. So here, what happens is, there's a little bit of Akdama. You have a basket, inside you have fruit, and you have a stone. So basically what you have over here is, you have something that's a basis, the davar ha'aser, or the davar ha'mutter. The peris ha'mutter, the stone is aser. So you have a basis, the davar ha'heter, the davar ha'aser. So here we're talking about a case where the peris are worth more than the stone. So therefore, if you want to move the kalkala, you're allowed to move it. It's mutter to move the kalkala
On account of the pairs.
because the peiros are, it's really called basis the davar hamutter, because the peiros are the main thing. But we have a cloud that any time you have a basis the davar heter, the davar iser, even though the davar hamutter is worth more, so it's mutter to move it, you have to try to get rid of the davar aser. Because even though you can't read the tzarech davar hamutter, we consider this Metilta l'tzarech davar hamutter, because that's the more chashav thing over here. Still, you have to try to get rid of the davar aser. You shouldn't leave it in there. So that's the seif over here.
But again, you cannot pick it up and throw it.
By a dime, you cannot
So
do
seif.
it.
You can't pick up the ever and throw it down, right?
Yeah, that's again muktzah.
So kalkala malaya peiros. You have a basket full of peiros. Ve'evim b'teicha. Imhem peiros utuvim. That means they're going to get ruined. Can
Damage.
Can be damaged, yeah. So yita loisa k'moishehi, you could carry it the way it is. She'im yina'er ha'peiros miteicha yafsidim. You'll ruin the peiros if you empty it. You'll ruin the peiros. Aval imhem peiros she'enam nefsadim. If the peiros won't get ruined, yina'er shake out the peiros and the even
Together.
Yina'er gam even imohem. And don't carry the even together with the peiros. Why? Because if you have an eitzah to get rid of the davar ha'aser, you should get rid of it. You need the peiros or the kalkala. That's when you have to do this. You need the place where the kalkala is. But you let it move it the way it is. Why? Because now again you have an eitzah. You need the place where the kalkala is. What do you say? Empty it with the stone and the peiros. Then the stone is going to be in the place that you need. If you need the place where the kalkala is on, so it's not going to help to empty it with the stone and with the peiros, because then you're stuck. The stone's there. So therefore, again, you're allowed to move it because it's called tiltim and atzab, the tzarech davar hamutter.
But then can you pick up the fruit that you spilled out?
Yeah, fruit you can pick up, but the stone you can't.
Because it's not muktzah.
Right, the fruit is not muktzah. So look in the Magen Avraham, Sif Katan Dalid. Yital Oisa, the Nasa Bosses the V'laheter. It becomes a Bosses the V'laheter. Ve'em Atrichen Oisa Lital Apeiros V'teichasal B'yodoi. Ve'em Atrichen to take the fruit out. You also have a different Eitzah. Take the fruit out and leave the basket there and just carry the fruit separately by itself. Because you can't do that.
Then the basket becomes muktzah.
Apeiros Munachim, V'salim Ketanim, Teichal Kalkala, Yitlei B'yodoi V'teichal Kalkala. If there are smaller baskets, then we are matriach, you take out the smaller baskets. But if there's no smaller baskets, you have to carry the peiros separately, then the halacha is we're not matriach you because it's a basis the isser v'leheter. If you look at the Mishnah Berurah over here, Sivkot text, K'moishehi, After yesh even b'toicha, why is it mutter? The nasis hakalkala basis l'isser v'leheter, and then it says very important words over here. V'heter chasher yaiser, v'bata l'isser l'gaba, and the isser becomes bata to the heter. V'havak ilu any basis rak l'heter. V'afa gav me'mele metaltal gam even shari l'taltal hakalkala v'lagir l'bokum shviyetzer. Why? Because without a tree, you take out the peiros. But if you have a way of getting rid of it, it'll be also to carry it. So now, what happens is the davar hamuktzah, the davar ha'aser, is more chashuv than davar heter. So you have a basis, you have things that's carrying in it this heter and iser. So we just said now the reason why you like carry it is because the heter is more chashuv.
More important.
Is more valuable.
Now it's reversed.
So how is the opposite? If the Isser is more valuable, then what happens is, so
Then the whole thing
the whole
becomes
thing becomes
muktzah.
Asr.
No?
Because we go, what's more chashuv? So this happens a lot of times.
You just take the fruit out.
So the
Yeah, you
payers,
take the fruit out.
itself become muktzah.
The payers don't become muktzah. You not take the fruit out.
But you cannot.
You can't move the kalkola.
The basket.
Right, the basket becomes muktzah.
Muktzah, yeah.
That's what happens. So here, this is a very, very common case. You have a drawer, and in the drawer you have things that are muktzah, things that are not muktzah. I let open the drawer to take out the things that are not muktzah. So one klal you have to know, we'll see later on, there's more klalim, but one klal you have to know is that if whatever is there, it's more chashuv. You have a drawer, there's a lot of tchotchkes in it, nothing is important. You have an expensive camera inside. The camera is more worth than anything else over there. So the halacha would be that the drawer is considered a bosses to davar hamuktzah.
How can you use camera on the Shabbat?
You can't.
No, that's what it
muktzah.
says.
Yeah.
That's what it's muktzah. So the drawer becomes bosses to davar hamuktzah.
Don't open.
But we'll see later. We'll see in Siv Daled. Next week we'll go through Siv Daled. So I see the one more from here. Siv Daled is a very important seif about how something becomes a bosses. So we have to have all the klolim that it became a bosses to davar asr also. For example, we'll see later on. If something only becomes a bosses if you put it down there and you want it to be there. But if you didn't put it down there, dropped it by mistake, whatever it is, lav dafka becomes a bosses. We'll see later on. Not always when something's in a drawer does it become a bosses. So then you have to see what's in the drawer and what it becomes a bosses to. But I'm talking about a case where it is a bosses. There's things in the drawer and it's a bosses to everything in the drawer. Everything is meant to be there. So then, if there's more muktzah in the drawer, then you have to be careful because then it becomes the whole drawer becomes a bosses for the davar muktzah. This is like the lashon of the Mishnah Berurah says over here, right? That if you have isser v'heter chashav yisr, batal the isser legabah, it doesn't mean that the isser becomes heter. It doesn't mean that, right? The stone stays muktzah. You're not allowed to take out the muktzah on Shabbat. The stone stays muktzah. But it means this being negated didn't bosses. The isser is batal, meaning it's as if it's not there, but it doesn't turn it into heter. Same thing the opposite. If you have isser and heter, even though the heter is more chashuv, it doesn't turn the heter into isser. The heter you're allowed to take out if you have a way of getting to it. If you don't have to move the drawer. If it's in a basket, or you have to stick your hand in and take out the heter.
But there's a problem. If the basket has fruit and a stone, I cannot take out the fruit and then keep the basket only with the stone because now it's all asr. The basket becomes asr because there is a muktzah inside, and I cannot move I cannot throw the stone now once there is no fruit inside.
So what's wrong with that?
That means I cannot take out
move the basket. So you cannot move the basket.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. No, but
wasn't the basis at Banish Moshe? So when became a basis after you
as long as the fruits were there.
Okay, but now it's a basis.
But now it's a basis because
on Shabbos.
Yeah, but the halacha is that we spoke. We'll see it more. If you go, it's machlokes to become basis on Shabbos. But if the chiluk is it becomes a basis on Shabbos, if the stone falls out, then it becomes ice basis. It's mutter. But then it's basis Banish Moshe. You can never make it not a basis anymore. Interesting question. We didn't think about this. We have to see what the terrace is. You're not allowed to put a double muktzah on a kli or Shabbos. Right? You're not allowed to take a kli, and it says you're not allowed to put it under a glaf, on something that's dripping down. Why? Because it's called mavatal kli me'echana. You're taking the kli and you're making it into muktzah. You're not allowed to make a kli into muktzah. So
maybe you leave one piece of fruit in there.
No, that's what I'm saying. So that's the question here. If you have fruit and a stone,
I'm just saying that if you leave one piece of fruit in there,
I don't know if I take out the fruit. That's the saying. You take out the fruit now, so it's only basis davar aser, and then you can't move the kli.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's called vatal kli me'echana. That's an interesting question. Taking out the fruit and leaving the stone inside, so now what's happening is the kli becomes muktzah.
Yeah, exactly.
The vatal kli me'echana.
Maybe like he says, maybe we should keep
leave one fruit aside.
And then try to linear it so it will fall.
I'm not sure it's called. I think about it. Interesting question. If that's called vatal kli me'echana.
Yeah.
Interesting question. I don't know. Cool. Okay, we'll continue next week. See you,
Sure.